In this episode of Sam's Motor and Machine, I'm back once again to work on this beautiful low mileage 4.4 TDV8 Vogue, quite possibly one of the nicest condition L322s you will find here in Ireland and possibly in the UK as well. The main job today is I'm servicing the ZF 8HP transmission with fresh oil and a new oil pan, but we're starting off with a fix that I think will definitely be of interest to all of you 4.4 TDV8 owners out there, the good old clicky starter motor. So let's get into it. I'm going to do a mix of voiceover and talking to the camera in this one, as I'm kind of focusing on the task at hand and making sure we've got everything done in one day. So anyway, the owner of this Rangy had been having a bit of trouble with an intermittent starter motor. Initially it started off as the occasional click when trying to start the car, but eventually it got worse to the point where it was taking him 2 or 3 tries every time to get the big TDV8 started up. Now this is a very common issue on the 4.4 TDV8 and possibly the 3.6 as well, although you don't seem to hear about it as much on those. Anyway, the most common recommendation to owners with this issue is to simply replace the starter motor with a new one. The proper Denso replacement starter motor for the TDV8 isn't exactly cheap at around £300 or €400 over here, and so Niall and I decided we would take a look and see if we could fix it ourselves. The solenoid is effectively just a very big switch that's activated using a smaller electrical current. When you hit the starter button, the ECU sends a trigger signal down a wire which closes the contacts in the solenoid, and it allows the huge amount of current that's needed to spin the TDV8 over to flow from the battery and into the starter motor itself. What Niall and I suspected was that the solenoid wasn't working properly and that there was a problem with the contacts inside which was causing that intermittent operation. To get inside, as you guys saw, I removed all of the nuts on the studs and the bolts holding the plastic cap on, but then it's also necessary to actually break the small spot weld which holds this flat electrical connector in place so that the cap can be removed. Don't worry though, this will be soldered back into place when we're finished, good as new.
Basically what I'm trying to do now is just to get this tab to be as small enough so that it'll pass through this housing when I lift it off. I managed to break off the main tab that goes to this hole, this stud, but the tab just needs to be small enough to fit through the plastic housing, so a little bit more filing to do because there's still a bit of weld or solder left on there, whatever it is, but once that's off we should be able to pull this off and have a look at our contacts. So let's see if she's going to come off there. There we go. And there we have, I'll zoom you guys in, some very dirty looking contacts, particularly this guy. And that'll be the reason for the no start / clicky starter motor syndrome. So yeah, that's definitely the issue. And if we look at the bottoms of the pins respectively, you guys can also see in there, this stud very, very corroded and blackened from arcing basically. So yeah, we clean those up, we should have a good as new starter motor, hopefully. So obviously we need to clean up these contacts again and get them making nice electrical contact on this solenoid, so we can get the starter motor working again properly. Now the issue that we've got to try and rectify is that the bottom of this pin has lost a fair bit of material. You can see this pin's got grooves cut into it so that it basically bites into the top of the solenoid here to give you a nice electrical connection. This one, because it's arced so much, it's almost lost all of its grooves. Now there is a little bit of compliance in this top plate of the solenoid here, so if these are uneven heights, this will self-correct to a degree, but ideally you want these 2 pins to be at the same height, or as close to it as possible. So we'll have to have a think about what we do, whether we reduce the height of this one, whether we reduce the height of the good one to match the shorter one, or whether we just cut grooves back into the original pin there with a file or something. But whatever we do, we need to make sure we get nice electrical contact. So yeah, so these posts are just held in place with a O-ring, like a normal O-ring, so we can push these pins out easily enough. You can just see that O-ring there. And key pins. and that should just drop out. So you can see this one's noticeably a little bit shorter than the other one. Not by much, but enough. We'll start off by cleaning this up and see what we're left with.
So after cleaning up both studs on a belt sander, honestly a bit of sandpaper and a flat surface are really all you need here, we added some grooves back into the studs using a combination of a hacksaw and some small square-edged files. This was in the hope that it would help the studs to find some fresh material in the solenoid plate to bite into and make a really good connection. Next up, we of course had to clean up the contactor plate of the solenoid, which had also been blackened and pitted by all of the arcing. This was easy enough with another small file.
Okay, so we've got nice clean solenoid plates here. I don't know the actual technical term for that, but that seems what it should be to me. And then we've cleaned up the two studs on the belt sander, and then chucked a few grooves into them as well, using a hacksaw and then a little file. So they're not perfect, but all those grooves are there for really is just to bite into the top surface of this plate, just to make sure it gets a really nice contact. So when this plate flies up, it should dig into the top of the studs there and make a really nice contact. So we'll put it all back together again now.
After it goes back together, you're ready to solder the tab back onto the connector. I got it nice and hot with this powerful soldering iron and added plenty of solder here to make sure it's good and strong. And after that, it was time to coax the starter motor back into its place on the bottom of the engine, passing it through a gap in the subframe that is only just big enough to get it through. I reckon this is definitely more luck than judgment on the part of the Land Rover engineers that designed this, as it takes some seriously skillful manoeuvring to get the starter motor in and facing the direction that it should be.
You might be able to get your hands on the long stem and get a...
Everything's in the way, isn't it? You got the anti-roll bar right in the way. Have a go.
Yeah, I'll hold it on it, yeah.
Yeah, it's going.
Not an easy job on your own, no.
No, horrible.
And if you had a lift, I suppose.
The thing is, yeah, but then you still want to be able to come in from. You probably have it on the lift like halfway up, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
and you'd be able to go under and.
Have a chair you can sit down on.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Make a rest yourself while you get it.
Fatigue.
Actually, not too bad from here.
No, yeah, you're right. Yeah, yeah, with the bendy ratchet. There you go. That's closed up now. Can you get onto the top one? There's so much thread to wind in on that. That's mental.
I feel I get a bit by hand first. I thought I got a good bit by hand. Oh, yeah, I can, yeah.
I'd have replaced that with a shorter bolt if I'd have known.
That's the funny thing on gender, isn't it?
Yeah, there's no need for it to be that long. There you go. Yeah, give that a few winds.
Oh jeez, we have to give a rest.
Give the arm a rest.
Nearly there.
Yeah, you've got like another few turns and you're there now. Yeah, there's about an inch of thread sticking out the.
Got hell, yeah.
Yeah, useless. Why did they put such a long bolt in there? Is that on? Yeah, there you go. Should be nearly there.
That's it, now tighten it now, yeah.
Get a good pull on it. There you go.
You might get a squeeze from there, Sam. Have a look yourself and see. You might better than me from there.
See how tight it feels. Oh, that's pretty good, yeah.
I have another go at this bottom one now just to make sure.
Yeah, that's good. There we go.
So with that successful repair and a decent saving under our belts, it was on to the transmission service.
So yeah, Niall's running the same L405 20-inch rims as me, but he's got the 255 55 20 Pirelli Scorpion Zeros on. It's quite a nice setup. Just put the 22mm socket on my little baby Milwaukee Impact just to run the nuts on. Make life easier. And 140 Newton meters. 100 pound-feet, Americans.
So first job underneath is to strip off the metal guard under the transmission, that's about 6 bolts, and then there's a bracket under that which needs to come off too, that's a further 4 bolts.
So we've got the rock guard off of the bottom of the 8HP, there's also a metal cage there that needs to come off as well, that's 4 little bolts that go into the side of the transmission, just for mounting that plate onto. Now we can access the drain plug. Get this out.
There's not much oil coming out of there.
Looks pretty, not too bad actually, like compared to when I drain mine.
It's a bit clear, yeah.
Yeah, you can still see through it, which is always good. That's really a good sign though, because it means your clutches and everything aren't all burned up.
Yeah.
It's nice.
It could have been done before, but I don't know, isn't it?
I doubt it. I was thinking that the bottom of the sump looks quite clean, but you know, the car's quite low mileage, so
yeah,
it's surprising really. Right.
Well, you've been off on that, yeah?
Yeah. We as men know it's not always necessary to read the manual when you're doing something like this, but in this case it is good to have the service information paperwork from ZF when you're doing this oil change on the 8HP or the 6HP for that matter. This has a bit of useful information regarding the bolt pattern and the way that you torque the bolts up has to be done in a specific order, and it also, if I can open it, has a handy flow chart here for checking the oil. So there's quite a procedure there involving temperatures and putting the gearbox in to drive and things like that. So yeah, useful to have this on hand. So here's where it might get a little bit messy. I'll take the pan off now. That's our last bolt out. So there we go. So it's just released this from the oil pump. Tipped a bit of oil there. So our oil filter is integral to the pan on the 8 HP, so we put a new one on. Okay, so our new pan comes with a sump plug already pre-installed, so we don't have to worry about that. I'm going to take this plastic cap off of the pickup tube for the filter, and then line up the tube, plop it into place. I'm just going to start off by running these in very gently with the driver. Just one little click like that just to pick up the slack. Let's get our ratchet. And then we're going to follow the little guide on the worksheet here. Okay, so fill port, which you loosened earlier, you now take that out. There's your little plug. And we're using this kind of syringe type pump today, which isn't what I would choose personally if I had a choice. I forgot to bring my little 1 litre Draper pump bottle because it has a little hook that sits in the end, which is perfect. But this should work alright, it's just not quite as easy to get set up. A little bit more awkward, so you can put that in there and then you can pump this once it's full. Hopefully this sucks as well as pumps. There we go. Just got to be careful not to knock the bottle over. You can see that lovely colour of the Lifeguard 8 and give it a pump. Yeah, luckily this stuff isn't very thick, so it goes in quite nicely. It's actually quicker to get it in like this than with the little pump that I'm talking about, so maybe this is quite a good tool for this job. It goes in there quite nicely. Okay, I'm just going to basically repeat that until we get oil trickling out of this fill port, and then I'm going to put the new fill bung in, and then we'll move on to the next stage of the process. So the car's now sitting pretty close to level. All I did, because I didn't want to start the engine before we've had a chance to do a full fill of that gearbox to make sure it's got all the oil it needs. So all I did was just put the jack under the rear tow bar and just notch it up a little bit because the suspension was sitting a little bit uneven, so now it's sitting pretty much bang on level. So now we're going to put a little bit more oil into the transmission just so it starts overflowing, and then we'll start the next stage where we start the engine and put a load more in. So we're at the point now where the transmission's taken its initial refill, which is about 3 litres on this. And now what we're going to do is start the engine up, plug the IID tool in and open up the temperature readout, the live data for the transmission. Okay, so we can go into live values, onto the complete list, head into the transmission and find transmission oil temperature. And there's 3 values here for some reason, but I'm going to load them all up. Okay, so it looks like we've got 9 degrees so far. You guys are seeing this. So we need to let it warm up to 30 degrees. So it might take quite a while. Okay, so we're reading 30 degrees on the IID tool. So the next step on our ZF procedure is to run the car at 2000 RPM for 30 seconds. It's quite hard to get it to balance at 2000. Okay. So check the oil temperature again. It's still at 30 degrees. It's not going up very much. It's quite cold in the workshop today, so that's probably why. So the next step is park, reverse, drive, and hold each gear for 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Drive. And then we're going to use the paddles just to go D2, D1, back to D2, then we're going to go back to park. Okay, oil temperature is 31, so we're just over the 30 degree minimum. So the next step we're going to do is we're going to open the fill screw again. Check that we've got any oil running out. If we do, then that's perfect. We can close it up and we're job done. If it doesn't, I might just have to put a little bit more back in again. So let's do that now. Okay, going under. There's my torch gone. Okay, looks like we need to top up a little bit. So I'm just going to put a little bit of a pump in until we start getting some oil dropping out. It's still taking it.
They send a lot more oil than what's required to get the kit.
Yeah.
There's an awful lot more, don't there?
Yeah, some people would do like a flush. You wouldn't have enough to do a flush with this. You'd need about another 5 litres. What's the temperature saying up there? We're less than 50 on the door. 37, yeah. I'm just waiting for the drips to run down to a drop now, single drop. There we go. Okay. Okay. Happy days. So yeah, our temperature's still only 38 degrees, so the level's perfect now, so we can turn off. That's another job done. So that's all done. We actually managed to get more like 4.5 litres into the transmission, which is a bit more than you might expect. So yeah, we got more change than we expected, which is good, because more fresh oil is better. So yeah, happy days. So the level's correct now. Just got to throw the guards back on underneath. Niall's going to throw in a new battery as well whilst we're here, and the range will be good to go for another 100,000 miles.
So that's going to wrap it up for another video here, guys. 2 good jobs done, meaning that the Rangy is ready for Niall and his family to head over to France for their summer holidays in a few months. It really is the perfect tool for that job, as ours was on our recent Switzerland trip. You can see the link in the description if you want to watch that video. But yeah, I'm happy to have been able to help out again on this beautiful vehicle, and you never know, we might see it again on the channel in the near future. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe and click the like button if you enjoyed the video. It helps the channel out hugely. You can also become a member here on the channel too if you'd like to help support more content like this in the future. And let me know your maintenance plans and your thoughts down in the comments below. I love reading all of your comments. Anyway, bye for now.